Hi students, let us have discussion about chemical kinetics now. But please remember that the total chapter can be explained very theoretically in 9 videos. Please watch the videos in order to properly understand the subject and the important questions and models of the subject. Now let us see the module 1, chemical kinetics. Chemical kinetics is the branch of chemistry that deals with rate and mechanism of reactions. Rate in the sense fastness of reaction, mechanism how it occurs. So chemical kinetics is the branch of science that deals with the rate and mechanism of reaction. Now first of all, we should know what is meant by reaction. Reaction means conversion of one form of the substance into another form, that is converting reactants into products. So here how a reaction occurs. Let us see now how a reaction occurs. Molecules are generally stable. If you put few reactant molecules in a vessel, they collide with each other. During the collision, they reach certain highest energy status called as threshold energy status. This is the highest energy status where the molecules are quite highly unstable and they need to get stabilized by getting converted into products. So by this we can understand that all collisions will not get converted into products, but only the collisions that were occurring at threshold energy status could get converted into products. So which implies threshold energy status, a reactant molecules, if it reaches, then only it get converted into products. So the energy required by reactant molecule to reach threshold energy status is called activation energy. So this is the energy required by reactant molecules to reach threshold energy status. So activation energy must be equal to threshold energy minus energy of reactants. Remember this, activation energy must be equal to threshold energy minus energy of reactants. Now these collisions at threshold energy status getting converted into products, and this energy status is also called as transition state or activated complex state. Let us see this in terms of graph. In the graph, y-axis is taken with energy and x-axis is taken with reaction coordinate. Suppose if we observe the graph like this, this indicates energy of reactant and this indicates energy of product. From here to here, this is highest energy status called as threshold energy status or transition state or activated complex state. This is considered to be activation energy. So here EA is activation energy. This is threshold energy minus energy of reactants. So from here to here is threshold energy up to here. This is energy of reactants. Threshold energy minus energy of reactant is activation energy. You all know this is delta E. Generally we know that delta E must be equal to EP minus ER. Here we can observe that ER is greater than EP. This is ER. ER energy is up to here and EP energy is up to here, which implies that ER is greater than EP. Therefore, delta E is negative, which implies this graph represents exothermic reaction. This graph represents exothermic reactions. So this is a graph of exothermic reaction, wherein exothermic reaction energy of reactant is greater than energy of products. If you take an endothermic reaction, so suppose if we use endothermic reaction, in endothermic reaction, energy of products must be greater than energy of reactants, because delta E would be positive, which implies energy of products must be greater than energy of reactants for endothermic reaction. How the graph of an endothermic reaction should be? See, this is a graph for an exothermic reaction. Now let us see the graph of an endothermic reaction. So here energy of products must be greater than energy of reactants. Don't forget that. For endothermic reaction, energy of products must be greater than energy of reactants. So how we will draw the graph? So here this is energy of reactant. This is energy of product. This is activation energy. So always activation energy is threshold energy minus energy of reactant. Right? So which implies, you can see that for an endothermic reaction, the graph will be like this. EP must be greater than ER. If it is an endothermic exothermic reaction, how we will take the graph? Energy of reactant must be greater than energy of product, like the previous case. So exothermic, endothermic reaction, these terms also it's important to remember. For exothermic reactions, energy of reactant is greater than energy of products. For endothermic reaction, energy of product is greater than energy of reactant. Now, next. Type of reaction mechanisms. It can occur, reaction mechanism can occur in two ways. One is concerted mechanism. Concerted mechanism means the reaction occurs in single step. In the sense, the graph drawn before indicates concerted mechanism. What is concerted mechanism? It occurs in, the reaction occurs in single step, only in one step. So no reaction intermediate would be involved. So here the graph, whatever it may be for an exothermic reaction or for an endothermic reaction, you can observe that if it occurs in single step, it would be considered as concerted mechanism. Here we will take energy in y-axis, reaction coordinate in x-axis. So here this is the case where the reaction is occurring in single step, which involves only one transition state. This indicates reactants, this indicates products. This is threshold energy status or transition state. So in concerted mechanism, it involves single transition state, no reaction intermediate. Reactant directly gets converted into product. That is the meaning of concerted mechanism. Now let us see non-concerted mechanism. Now by now you should have understood non-concerted mechanism means the reaction occurs in more than one step. Non-concerted mechanism. So it occurs in multiple steps. So as it occurs in multiple steps, what we can observe here is it involves more than one transition state. It involves more than one transition state. Now let us see the graph. Energy in, as usual, y-axis, reaction coordinate in x-axis. Now here you can observe this is a reactant, this forms first reaction intermediate, this forms another reaction intermediate which gets converted into products. So here this is energy of reactant. Now this is energy of products. Energy of products. This is transition state 1. This is reaction intermediate 1. This is transition state 2. This is reaction intermediate 2. This is transition state 3, directly getting converted into products. This is occurring in 3 steps. That is reactant to reaction intermediate 1, reaction intermediate 1 to reaction intermediate 2, reaction intermediate 2 to product. So it is occurring in how many steps? 3 steps. So here what is the first step? Step 1. Reactant is getting converted into reaction intermediate 1. It involves transition state 1. Second step, reaction intermediate 1 is getting converted into reaction intermediate 2 with a transition state 2. Reaction intermediate 2 is getting converted into product with transition state 3. So here like this, when you observe the graph, basing on the graphs many questions can be asked. For example, in how many steps this reaction occurs, which is a very simple question. You can see reactant to reaction intermediate 1, reaction intermediate 1 to reaction intermediate 2, reaction intermediate 2 to products. So it is occurring in 3 steps. Next, it involves, if a reaction occurs in 3 steps, it involves how many transition states. So here we can observe it involves 3 transition states. If a reaction mechanism occurs in 3 steps, it will have 3 transition states involved in it. Next thing, if it is occurring in 3 steps, how many reaction intermediates would be involved in it? Even such kind of questions also could be asked. So it involves 2 reaction intermediates. If any mechanism occurs in 4 steps, it involves 3 reaction intermediates. But if it occurs in 3 steps, like our example, how many reaction intermediates will be involved? Less than 1 for it. That is 2 reaction intermediates. Reaction intermediates with difficulty can be separated, but transition state is never separated. That is the difference between transition state and reaction intermediate. Now remember carefully that if a mechanism occurs in 3 steps, it involves how many reaction intermediates? 2. If a mechanism occurs in 2 steps, it involves how many reaction intermediates? 1. So just minus 1 from that. So if it involves n steps, how many reaction intermediates it would have? N minus 1. So if a reaction involves n steps, how many reaction intermediates it would have? N minus 1. So if a reaction involves n steps, how many transition states it would have? Same number. N number of transition states. For example, this is occurring in 3 steps. How many transition states it is involving? 3 transition states. That is one kind of asking the questions. Next, let us see another kind of asking in these steps, which is a very slow step. First step, second step or third step. This is step 1. This is step 2. This is step 3. In this, which is a slow step, you can easily identify whatever the graph given, whichever is having higher activation energy is slow step. Least activation energy is fast step. Many times it was asked in the exams also. So, higher activation energy, slow step. The reaction rate is occurring slowly because it requires more energy to reach threshold energy status itself, means that the reaction will occur slowly. Right? So, non-concerted mechanism occurs in multiple steps, and types of questions that would be asked from that, we have checked that already. Now next, for a reversible reaction, if you take what is meant by a reversible reaction, reaction that can occur in both the directions is called as reversible reaction. This is energy of reactant, this is energy of product, this is activation energy of forward reaction, because reactant getting converted into product is a forward reaction. Right? So, if we take a backward reaction, product reconverts back to reactant. You all know what is backward reaction. Product reconverting back to reactant is termed as backward reaction. So, which implies this would be the energy of backward reaction. Why like that? Backward reaction is product reconverting back to reactant. So this is activation energy of forward reaction. This is activation energy of backward reaction. So delta E is equal to EF minus EB. This is also very important condition to be remembered. What is delta E equal to? EF minus EB. EF is activation energy of forward reaction. What is EF here? Activation energy of forward reaction. Energy of forward reaction. What is EB here? Activation energy of backward reaction. Activation energy of backward reaction. So EF is activation energy of forward reaction. EB is activation energy of backward reaction. Now delta E must be equal to EF minus EB. For endothermic reactions, what is the condition we have checked already? For endothermic reactions, we can observe that delta E must be positive. Delta E should be positive in the sense EF must be greater than EB. Remember that for endothermic reactions, activation energy of forward reaction must be greater than activation energy of backward reaction. For exothermic reactions, we can observe delta E must be negative. In the sense, EF must be lesser than EB. Remember this condition. EF must be lesser than EB. So what kind of questions could be asked from this? We can see that if delta E and EF is given, we can find out EB. If suppose they have given EF and EB, we can find delta E. Suppose they have given delta E and EB, we can find EF. Out of three, any two were given, the other one unknown thing can be found. Similarly, they can ask that for endothermic reactions, activation energy of forward reaction is greater than activation of energy of backward reaction. In which of the following is correct or incorrect statement? One of the statement can be included like this. So, for endothermic reaction, remember delta E need to be positive. Always either for endothermic or exothermic, formula is same. Delta E must be equal to EF minus EB. So, if delta E comes positive, endothermic. If delta E comes negative, exothermic. So, for endothermic reaction, EF could be greater than EB. For exothermic reaction, EF must be lesser than EB. What is meant by EF? Activation energy of forward reaction. What is meant by EB? Activation energy of backward reaction. So remember, what kind of questions can be asked from this? Delta E calculation or EB calculation or EF calculation, or for endothermic whether you have to identify the given reaction is endothermic or exothermic. If it is delta E is positive, endothermic. Delta E is negative, exothermic. Always for endothermic reaction, EF must be greater than EB. Always for exothermic reaction, EF must be lesser than EB. So remember that condition carefully. From this, such questions could be asked. Now, next let us see what is meant by rate of a reaction. Now, chemical kinetics we have said already, it deals with rate of a reaction. Rate always indicates speed, with what speed that reaction could occur. So, it always related with time. So, So with less time if it is occurring, it is more faster. Always generally what happens, reactants get converted into products. In the sense, concentration of reactants decreases with time, concentration of products increases with time. So if you represent that as a graph, you can observe that concentration of reactants decreases with time. Suppose if we take concentration in y-axis, time in x-axis. This graph indicates that reactants, concentration of reactants decreases with time. Suppose if you take for products, you will get the graph like this. Concentration of products increases with time. So which implies concentration of reactants decreases with time, concentration of products increases with time. That is, rate is nothing but change in concentration of reactants or products per unit time. That is, change in concentration of participating species of a reaction per unit time will be called as rate of a reaction. Or else we can say decrease in concentration of reactants or increase in concentration of products per unit time is also termed as rate of a reaction. Or sometimes we can write it as disappearance of reactants or appearance of products per unit time is termed as rate of reaction. So we have understood disappearance of reactants or appearance of products per unit time is termed as rate of reaction. So here we can see that unit for rate of reaction will be unit for rate of reaction can be taken as change in concentration per unit time. So moles per liter per time. So moles per liter per time. So unit of rate of reaction also has to be remembered. Moles per liter per time will be the unit of rate of reaction. What is meant by rate of reaction? Disappearance of reactants or appearance of products per unit time can be called as rate of reaction. Let us see how to write a rate of reaction for a general reaction. A plus B gives rise to C plus D as products. We can write for this rate of reaction as differential of concentration of A with respect to differential of time, or it can also be written as differential of concentration of B with respect to differential of time, or it can also be written as differential of concentration of C with respect to differential of time, or differential of concentration of D with respect to differential of time. So remember, minus sign here for reactant side indicates that its concentration decreases with time. So as the time passes, we can see that reactants are getting converted into products. That is, concentration of reactants decreases with the time. To indicate that, we kept minus. Whereas concentration of products increases with the time. So we kept the plus. So here this D indicates that for infinitesimally small change, if we want to understand it, we use small d. Suppose final minus initial has to be taken, we will use delta, minus delta concentration of A by dt, or it is equal to minus delta concentration of B by delta T, or it is equal to plus delta concentration of C by delta T, or it is equal to plus delta concentration of d by dt also it can be represented. Average rate of reaction. Average rate of reaction could be taken in terms of deltas. So this indicates average rate of reactions. So change in concentration of A with respect to time. Change in concentration of B with respect to time. Change in concentration of C with respect to time. This is called as average rate of reaction. Now, the same reaction, if it was given as a general reaction, A moles of A reacts with B moles of B, producing C moles of C plus D moles of D. In this case, rate of reaction, to equate it for a rate of reaction per unit conditions to be taken, we can write it as 1 by A minus dA by dt must be equal to 1 by B minus dB by dt must be equal to 1 by C plus dC by dt must be equal to 1 by D plus dd by dt. So here you can see this is the, for any general reaction it is applicable. So we will see kind of problems that could be asked. Suppose a reaction is given, they ask you to express the rate of reaction, you can do that, which is very simple kind of question that can be asked. Now suppose we will see one type of problem that can be asked from this. Now already we have seen basing on activation energies, delta E calculation, how the problems could be asked. In this logic, let us see how the problem can be asked. Now for example, if they have said that in Haber's process, we know what is Haber's process, right? In Haber's process, disappearance of nitrogen or rate of disappearance of nitrogen is 2 into 10 power minus 3. Then calculate rate of appearance of ammonia was the question asked. Now let us see solution for this. Now, in Haber's process, rate of disappearance of nitrogen is given. They are asking us to calculate rate of appearance of ammonia. Solution is, we know what is Haber's process. N2 plus 3H2 gives rise to 2NH3. Our requirement is only with respect to nitrogen and ammonia. What is rate of reaction with respect to nitrogen? Minus dN2 by dt must be equal to plus half into dNH3 by dt, or generally just to represent that this concentration increases with time, will give plus inside. Now they have given rate of disappearance of nitrogen. Now once again you should not write minus 2 into 10 power minus 3. Disappearance itself means minus. Many of the children will make mistake in that understanding it. They write it as minus 2 into 10 power minus 3. We should not do such kind of mistakes. Disappearance itself means the minus also was included with it. So this was given as 2 into 10 power minus 3 is equal to half into dNH3 by dt. Now remember carefully, this 2 if it comes here, 4 into 10 power minus 3 will be equal to dNH3 by dt. So this should be the answer. But in the answer, they will give the options like this. A option, minus 1 into 10 power minus 3. B option, 1 into 10 power minus 3. C option, minus 4 into 10 power minus 3. D option, 4 into 10 power minus 3. Now as we know the solution, we can clearly understand D is the correct option. But the children, by just seeing the question, they just tempted to answer. Few will answer 1 into 10 power minus 3 because half of it if we take, we will get the appearance of NH3. So 2 into 10 power minus 3 by 2 will get this answer. They may just misunderstand that B could be the answer. Few they can misunderstand that C could be the answer. This is a very easiest problem where the answer is very clear. But the options will be given to misguide the student such that 1 into 10 power minus 3, few will give the answer minus 1 into 10 power minus 3, minus 4 into 10 power minus 3. If you have understood the logic correctly, then only we can get 4 into 10 power minus 3 as the correct option. So the question is very simple, but there is a more chance to write the or select the wrong answers in such cases. So whenever examiner prepares the question for the exam, they will have a notation that question can be asked typically where there would be very tougher way of understanding the question itself, or else very easier question with confusing options. So there is a case, those whoever is preparing for competitive exams, there should be understanding the subject, learning the subject, as well as practicing the subject, and the most important thing is examination skill. Examination skill in the sense, for some question A, B, C, D options were given, you found A is correct and you have marked that and you came out of the examination hall. Later on, after coming from the examination hall, when you check the paper, you can very clearly find that B is also correct option, C both is kept, D none is also kept. So what should be the correct answer? C is the correct answer. So don't write the answers in hurried manner. So those whoever is preparing for competitive exam, you need to remember 4 conditions. One is understand the subject very well by just clearly listening to the classes of a lecture or by just checking the textbooks also. Second one is learning that. A student has to learn that also. Third one is practicing it. By doing number of problems, you need to practice it. Fourth one is examination skills. So by writing the test, you can check where you are making mistakes, how you are making mistakes, what kind of questions, how they are asked. See, now this is a simple question where there is many children that they can make the mistakes also. Like 1 into 10 power minus 3 they can keep, minus 4 into 10 power minus 3 also they can keep. You have understood that problem very clearly. Disappearance itself includes minus. Remember that. Now, this is rate of reaction. What is unit of rate of reaction? Moles per liter per time. How to represent rate of reaction, right? So now this rate of reaction was also explained by law of mass action. Law of mass action you got in chemical equilibrium chapter also. It was proposed by Guldberg and Vergil. These are the scientists who have proposed law of mass action. Law of mass action statement is the rate of any chemical reaction is directly proportional to product of active masses of reactants. What is the statement for the law of mass action? The rate of any chemical reaction. The rate of any chemical reaction is directly proportional to product of active masses of reactants. Now, masses of reactants at that instant. Here, what is meant by active masses of reactants? Active masses is equal to coefficient into molar concentration of the reactants, or coefficient into pressure of gaseous reactants. So, concentration can be taken for aqueous or gaseous state. Pressure could be taken only for gaseous phase. Pure solid, pure liquid's activity is 1. This coefficient will be generally taken as 1, which is therefore active mass equal to molar concentration or pressure of gaseous reactants could be taken. So here remember, coefficients has to be taken 1. But for pure solid and pure liquid, active mass itself is 1. For aqueous or gaseous phase, active mass equal to coefficient into molar concentration of reactant or pressure of reactant. Pressure should be taken only for gaseous phase. Concentration can be taken for aqueous or gaseous phase. Remember that. This is law of mass action, where suppose if we take a general reaction, AA plus BB gives rise to CC plus DD, we can observe here that rate is proportional to concentration of A per A into concentration of B per B. R is equal to K into concentration of A per A into concentration of B per B. Here K is equal to R by concentration of A per A into concentration of B per B. Or K is equal to R by concentration of reactants to the power of N, where N is equal to A plus B, which is called as order of reaction, about which in detail we will take in module 2. So K equal to R by capital R to the power of N. So here where K is termed as, here K is called as rate constant, or it is called as velocity constant, or it is called as speed constant, or it is called as disintegration constant. It has got a different terms in any kind of reaction. Whatever is the kind of reaction, it takes that name. Or it is called as decay constant, or it is also called as specific rate of reaction. It is also called as specific rate of reaction. Here K is equal to small r by capital R. So definition of K can be taken as K is equal to R, K equal to R if concentration of reactant is equal to 1 That itself is definition. That is, specific rate of reaction is nothing but it is rate of reaction per unit concentration of reactants. Per unit concentration of reactants. It is rate of reaction per unit concentration of reactants. That itself is specific rate of reaction. So remember that K is equal to R, rate of reaction by capital R to the power of N. So we can write unit of K. Unit of K should be, what is unit of R? Moles per liter per time divided by, what is concentration, molar concentration here? Moles per liter to the power of N. This to the power of 1 if we keep, this can be taken as moles per liter to the power of 1 minus N. This goes to the numerator per time. Remember that unit of K is moles per liter to the power of 1 minus N per time. If N equal to 0, it will get moles per liter per time. That is like rate of reaction itself, it will get the unit if N equal to 0, which is called as zero order reaction, about which we will learn in detail in module 2. If n equal to 1, 1 minus 1 becomes 0. Something to the power of 0 becomes 1. So per time. So per time inverse is the unit for first order reaction. Basing on this, if n equal to 0, unit of K cannot will keep as if it is n equal to 0. What is unit of K naught? This must be moles per liter to the power of 1 minus 0 per time. So this is same as rate of reaction, same as unit of R. So remember,